Suddenly she paused, and through my fingers I saw an awful change come over her countenance. Her great eyes suddenly fixed themselves into an expression in which horror seemed to struggle with some tremendous hope, arising through the depths of her dark soul. The lovely face grew rigid, and the gracious, willowy form seemed to erect itself. "Man," she half whispered, half hissed, throwing back her head like a snake about to strike. "Man, where didst thou get that scarab on thy hand? Speak, or by the spirit of life I will blast thee where thou standest."
Grand stuff, Bernadine Bishop, who wrote it.
Rider Haggard?
Yes, very good.
Well done.
Astonishingly clever.
Yes, very good.
Is it she?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever read it? You must have
No,
done.
oddly enough, I haven't. It was just a guess.
There are
Putting
some books
together,
that
yes.
you know without reading, aren't there?
Putting the style together with the fact that it was obviously about a she of some...
Well, that's very good.
With a capital S.
Yes.
What about Anthony Blond?
Didn't get. I'm delighted it's Rider Haggard because he's one of the most exciting. I mean, his stories are almost the most exciting I've ever read. King Solomon's Mines, for instance. You know, when the man is going to be put in a pot, and he says, "Well, supposing I tell you there's going to be a new moon or a partial eclipse, I think it is, of the sun," and he's taken out some diary that his wine merchant gave him before he left, and he's right, and he's saved. It's a lovely piece of invention.
I have, in fact, read She. I read it as a young boy, and I also saw the film. I have a very strong recollection of the old silent film. I remember the name of the hero, which is Ayesha, or Asher, and I also recollect that the book was the most scholarly one. It was full of Egyptian hieroglyphics. I was a young boy, as I say, when I read it, so I wasn't able to interpret it. Well, of course, I can't now either. But the thing struck me as being rather more than an adventure story. But there's one terrible moment in the book when she leads the young, blonde Nordic hero, who's destined to be her eternal consort, to the fire of eternal life. She enters the fire to renew her youth, and she turns into something subhuman. And a character called Holly, the sort of comic cockney, says, "Look, she's turning into a monkey." A wonderful moment, and the thrill is still there with me. I think it's a great book.
You read it, John Grace?
No, King Solomon's Mines, and that's as far as I go. But I think I'd have guessed it. The scarab was a bit of giveaway, I think.
What is a scarab?
It's a beetle.
Yes.
Shard.
It seemed to me tremendously of its period, as well as Rider Haggard. That kind of pagan, rather erotic, rather exotic kind of writing. Can't quite put my finger on the quality of it, but it does seem to belong with, shall we say, late Victorian academic painting, you know, Alma Tadema and that kind of thing.
You've got, in order to throw if you're a lady, in order to throw your head back with like a snake about to strike, you've got to have the right kind of neck, haven't you? It can't be one of our modern chunky girls. I had a feeling, funny enough, of a pre-Raphaelite painting of a long girl with a very, very long white neck, hair down to her shoulders.
You seem to
Pleasing
know,
eyes.
you know quite a lot about it, and you like it, obviously, his stuff. Any moral in it? Any attitude, any style of life betrayed by the book?
I leave that to professors on your left. I just enjoyed it as, you know, adventurous stuff.
I'm sure you're quite right. I just
I don't know.
wondered.
I think it's a very simple moral, isn't it? You mustn't look for eternal life. You must learn to grow old gracefully and not ask for too much. Very simple moral.
Seems reasonable.
I didn't recall, just from King Solomon's Mines, that there was quite a lot of imperialism and
yes.
white man's burden about it as well, or poor man's Kipling.
Well, look, I think we've got time for the next one, but only just. It's read by John Moffat.
On a very slowly moving band, a rack full of test tubes was entering a large metal box. Another rack full was emerging. Machinery faintly purred. It took 8 minutes for the tubes to go through, he told them. 8 minutes of hard X-rays being about as much as an egg can stand. A few died. Of the rest, the least susceptible divided into 2. Most put out 4 buds, some 8. All were returned to the incubators where the buds began to develop. Then after 2 days were suddenly chilled, and checked.
Anthony Blond.
Chilled, and checked. 2 chills, brother.
There were.
It's a very creepy piece, isn't it? 20th century.
Yes. Good lad.
No, I don't know. It's not Huxley, is it? I don't know.
Yes,
Yes,
Brave New
now
World.
you should, gamesmanship. You shouldn't have said that quite so casually. Anyway, no, that was very good. Did you spot it?
Yes, yes, indeed. In fact, it's my least favourite, I think, of Huxley's books. But
Why is that, do you think?
well, I think he gives way in it to his rather horrible mechanistic sadism, which one feels in a very slight way in most of his novels. There seems to be an absolute orgy of it in Brave New World. I find the tone objectionable, though I think the imagination is marvellous.
Anthony Burgess.
I want to admire the book greatly. I think the idea is a colossal one, an idea of tremendous importance. I think it's very, philosophically, it's very, very profound. But I think it's spoiled by a good deal of inattention to detail, and it's sloppily written. I can only say that I wish I'd written it. I wish I'd had the idea.
Oh,
I wish I
yes.
knew what Huxley had known. The notion of this confrontation of a world in which a young savage is brought up solely on the works of Shakespeare, and this world in which Shakespeare and all imaginative writers have banned, and you have as a substitute a school of emotional engineering. I think this is a great conception.
But it's... Oh, do you really? Do you think so,
I think it's a
John
great
Grosse?
conception.
Yes, I think it's his best book, actually. The kind of mechanical or emotionally clumsy side of him, which to me rather mars most of his novels, is here a real strength, because he after all is showing a world in which a kind of mechanical sadism has taken over,
Does
and
he
satirizing.
Does he succeed in showing it, or is it simply a debate which he is convincingly or not?
Oh, I think much more than that. I feel it's a smothering world. I feel stifled by it, and consequently, when the people discover, a single line of Shakespeare, one gets a wonderful kind of shiver from this tiny spark in the darkness.
Well, on that very positive note, I'm just going to have to tell you all to stop, because that's the end. That's all there is, and the next programme will be on Wednesday, the 9th of December. Until then, I bid you goodbye.